Hello, good day, and welcome. I will be answering Neco 2019 Biology Past Question 1. Which of the following is a talophyte? A. Fern, B. Liverwort, C. Moss, D. Mold, and D. E. Volvox. Now, talophyte is a division. Talophyte is a division under kingdom Plantae. Based on classification. Now, talophytes, also known as algae, have what? They are simple green plants. They are simple green plants that are all aquatic. They are all aquatic. So they are simple what? Green plants. You can call them what? Simple aquatic green plants. Now, they are usually what? They usually have thread-like, or you call it filamentous, or flat bodies. That's these plants now that lack what? Vascular bundles. So that means the talophytes do not have stem. They lack vascular bundles. They do not have stem. They do not have roots. They lack vascular bundles. Examples of talophytes include, we have the Spirogera. The Spirogera is an example, and also the Volvox is an example of what? Of talophytes. They are what? They are algae. Now, option A here says fern. Now, fern is not a talophyte. Fern is a what? Is a pteridophyte. Fern is a pteridophyte because it has vascular bundles. Liverworts and moss are bryophytes, also under kingdom Plantae. Now, mold is a fungi under kingdom fungi. And then E, Volvox, is the answer to this question because Volvox is a what? Is a talophyte. So this is the correct answer to this question, Volvox. And you should subscribe to our channel for more videos. Thank you. Good day and welcome. I will be answering Neco 2019 Biology Past Question 2. Plants store excess food in the form of A. Cellulose, B. Glucose, C. Glycogen, D. Starch, and E. Sucrose. Now, plants, like we know, plants manufacture their food. Plants manufacture their food. That is, they produce their own food. So plants manufacture their food, and they do this by using what? They do this by using water, chlorophyll present in chloroplast, and sunlight. So those are the three main factors required for what? For production of plant food, and this process is what we call photosynthesis. So the process by which plants manufacture their food with the help of water, chlorophyll, and sunlight is known as photosynthesis. Now, when photosynthesis occurs, plants manufacture their food in form of glucose, and the byproduct of photosynthesis is what? Oxygen. But this is the main thing here. The glucose is the main thing. Now, plants manufacture their food in form of glucose, but now this glucose, when stored in the plant body, and it is mostly stored in the plant leaves, when stored, they are stored in form of what? Starch. Remember, glucose is a monosaccharide, but starch is a polysaccharide. So therefore, plant food are actually stored in what? In starch form, which is a polysaccharide, and that is option D. Now, glycogen is stored in animals, not plants. Glycogen is stored in animals, so it is not correct. And glucose is the what? Food produced, but they say the food was stored, that is, plant stores excess food in the form of starch. So starch is the correct answer to this question, which is option D. Thank you and God bless you, and subscribe to our channel for more videos. Hello, good day and welcome. I will be answering Neco 2019 Biology Past Question 3. The largest phylum in the animal kingdom is A. Annelida, B. Arthropoda, C. Chordata, D. Mollusca, and E. Porifera. Now, the animal kingdom, also known as the kingdom Animalia. The kingdom Animalia is actually composed of 8 phylums. It's made up of 8 phylums, ranging from your phylum Porifera, the Colenterata, the Echinodermata, the phylum Arthropoda, your Annelida, phylum Mollusca, Chordata, and so on. Now, out of these 8 phylum, the largest of this phylum is the phylum Annelida. Arthropoda, sorry. You know the Annelida is for the earthworm, so the phylum Arthropoda is the largest phylum in the animal kingdom, and this is because the phylum Arthropoda is composed of the insects, the class Insecta, is composed of the crustaceans, and the arachnids, that's class Arachnida, the arachnids, and also the myriapoda, that is the myriapods, comprising of the what? The centipede and the millipedes. Now you agree with me that the arthropods, or this class and phylum Arthropoda, making up of insects, with the largest, because in a population the insects are always what? The species with the largest population. Now them falling under the phylum Arthropoda, together with the crustaceans, the arachnids, which are the spiders, and the myriapods, which compose of the centipede and the millipede, has made what? The phylum Arthropoda the largest phylum in the animal kingdom. And that is why what? Option B is correct, because option B says Arthropoda. So phylum Arthropoda is the largest phylum in the animal kingdom. It is larger than any other phylum. It is even larger than the phylum Chordata, which is made up of what? Vertebrate animals, that is animals with backbone. So it is actually what? The largest phylum in the animal kingdom. Thank you, and ensure to subscribe to our channel to get more videos and past questions. Hello, good day and welcome. I will be answering Neco 2019 Biology Past Question 4. Corals belong to the phylum A. Annelida, B. Colenterata, C. Mollusca, D. Platyhelminthes, and E. Porifera. Now, coral is an animal. Coral is an animal, and they're usually called the coral polyp. Now, coral belongs to a phylum under kingdom Animalia. It belongs to a phylum under kingdom Animalia, and this phylum is the phylum Colenterata. Phylum Colenterata, or what we call phylum Cnidaria. So, along with the hydra and sea anemones and jellyfish, so along with hydra, jellyfish, and coral, they are all what? Phylum Colenterata. Now they are phylum Colenterata because they have what? They have specialized cells and tissues. They have specialized cells and tissues, and are radially what? Symmetrical. That means they can be divided into 2 equal halves from any plane. They are radially symmetrical. So corals belong to the phylum what? Colenterata, and that is option B, along with hydra, jellyfish, and sea anemones. So they are radially what? Symmetrical, meaning they can be divided into 2 equal halves from any plane. So the answer is option B, Colenterata. Now the phylum Annelida is made up of the roundworms. The Mollusca is made up of those with shells like the snail. The Platyhelminthes is the flatworm, like a tapeworm, the flatworm. And the Porifera are sponges, which exist in what? In colonies. But Colenterata do not exist in colonies, so they are not sponges. They do not exist in what? In colonies. And so corals belong to what? Colenterata. Thank you and God bless you. Ensure to subscribe to our channel for more videos. Hello, good day, and welcome. I will be answering Neco 2019 Biology Past Question 5. Use the diagram below to answer question 5. Now, this is the diagram given to us. This is the diagram, and this diagram is a diagram representing what? An open stoma, or you can call it a stomata. Yes, it's still correct, an open stoma, because this is a stomata pore, and look at it, it's an open stoma. Now, the question says what? We should use this diagram to answer this question, and the question says the part labeled 3 is the. Now this is the part labeled 3. Let's trace it. This is the part labeled 3. So is the what? A says cellular cell wall, B says chloroplast, C says guard cell, D says nucleus, and E says stoma. Like I said this is diagram illustrate what? An open stoma or open stomata. And like we know, this open stomata or a stomata or stoma regulates the exchange of gases in plants. Regulates the exchange of gases in plants. When it's open, when it opens, what gases are even exchanged, and when it closes, no gas is what is exchanged. So this is an open stoma because the stomata pore is open. Now, to know what this III represents, we have to what? Label this diagram. Now, labeling this diagram, I represents the chloroplast. I represents the chloroplast. This is it. These are the chloroplasts. II represents the outer thin wall. The outer thin wall. So this is II representing what? The outer thin wall. Look at it. Now, III, which is 3, represents the nucleus. It represents the nucleus, and this is it. And this is the question we are asked for. That the part labeled III is known as the nucleus. Now, IV is the guard cell. IV are the guard cell. These are the cells that regulate what? The opening and closing of the stomata. They are specialized cells. They regulate the opening and closing of the stomata. Then V is the what? Stomata pore. V is the stomata pore, and that is why we say it's an open stomata, because the pore is open. The stomata pore. But the question says the part labeled 3 III is the nucleus. The nucleus. So option D is the correct answer. The nucleus. Thank you and God bless you. And just subscribe to our channel for more videos. Hello, good day, and welcome. I will be answering Neco 2019 Biology Past Question 6. Use the diagram below to answer question 6. Now, this is the diagram given to us, and this diagram represents an open stomata or open stoma. And like we know, it regulates what? The exchange of gases in plants. Now, the part that allows passage of water vapor to the atmosphere is. The part that allows passage of water vapor to the atmosphere is. Now, let's label this part fully so we can know the parts. I is the chloroplast. I is the chloroplast. II is the outer thin wall. The outer thin wall. III is the nucleus. IV is the guard cell. And V is the stomata pore. Now, they say the part that allows passage of water vapor to the atmosphere is. Now, the chloroplast, like we know, contains the chlorophyll that is responsible for what? Photosynthesis. So it cannot be what we are looking for. It cannot be what we are looking for. Now, II is the outer thin wall that helps to protect the stoma, so it can't be this. Then III is the nucleus, which regulates what activities going on in this stoma, so it can't be this. Now, option IV says what? The guard cell. Now, the guard cells are responsible for what? They control the opening and closing of the stomata. They control the opening and closing of the stomata. They control the opening and closing of the stomata. I can see the stomata now. This stomata is what? Is an open stoma. The stomata pore is open. Now, this is the guard cell. These are the guard cells, and these guard cells what? They control the opening and closing of this what? Stomata. But then the question says the part that allows the passage of water vapor. Now, V here is the stomatal pore. It is this stomatal pore that allows the passage. Stomatal pore. It is this stomatal pore that allows the passage. It allows the passage of gases. Although the guard cell regulates the opening and closing of the stomatal pore, but still the stomatal pore is the one that has the function of what? Allowing the passage of the water vapor to the atmosphere. Like you know, water vapor is a gas. So therefore, V is the correct answer, and that is option E, stomatal pore. V is the stomatal pore that allows the passage of what? All gases, respiratory gases, including the water vapor. So V is the correct answer. Thank you and God bless you. Ensure to subscribe to our channel for more videos and for more past questions. Hello, good day and welcome. I will be answering Neco 2019 Biology Past Question 7. Burette test is performed to show the presence of A. Fats, B. Protein, C. Starch, D. Sugar, and E. Vitamin. Now, Burette test is actually a chemical test that is used to detect. Burette test is a chemical test used to detect the presence of. It is used to detect the presence of peptide bonds. It is used to detect the presence of peptide bonds. That's a Burette test. Now, in the presence of this peptide bond, a violet color, a violet color is actually produced. A violet color is produced due to the presence of an alkaline copper sulfate. So this alkaline copper sulfate, which is a component of the Burette test, when it reacts with the peptide bond, coming across the peptide bond, it gives out this violet color. And that is why we say Burette test is a test that is used to is used to show the presence of peptide bond. Now, out of this option, the only option here that comprises of peptide bonds is protein, which is option B. Proteins are made up of amino acids which are bonded together by peptide bond. They are bonded together by peptide bond. So this peptide bond is the bond that exists between what? Amino acids, and protein here are made up of what? Are made up of amino acids which are bound together by what? Peptide bond. So therefore, Burette test is a test that is performed to show the presence of what? Of proteins, which is option B, proteins, and that will give us what? A violet color. Thank you and God bless you. Ensure to subscribe to our channel for more videos and past questions. Hello, good day and welcome. I'll be answering Neco 2019 Biology Past Question 8. The color that indicates the presence of starch in a food test is A. Blue black, B. Brown, C. Pink, D. Red, and E. Yellow. Now, to test for starch in a food, we use the iodine starch test. The iodine starch test is used to test for what? Starch in a food, and this is done by what? Combining. Is a chemical reaction involving the combination of starch and iodine. Now, when you combine starch and iodine, there will be a resulting blue-black coloration. So a blue-black color will be seen, and this is the test for what? For starch. It approves that what? Starch is present in that food. So the answer to this question is option A. Blue-black is the color that indicates the presence of starch in the food when the iodine starch test is used. Thank you, and ensure to subscribe to our channel for more videos. Hello, good day and welcome. I will be answering Neco 2019 Biology Past Question 9. The study of only one species of organism in relation to its environment is termed A. Horticology, B. Biogeography, C. Biology, D. Ecology, and E. Synecology. Now, the study of one species of organism is what is asked here in relation to its environment, which is known as ecology. Ecology is the study of organisms in relation to their environment. And now this is what ecology. Now ecology is divided into two, basically the synecology and the horticology. Now the synecology here deals with the study of the interaction between natural communities and their environment. And like we know, natural communities is made up of what? Many populations. So many population make up a community. And so horticology here, on the other hand, is defined as a study of one species, that is a population, study of one species of organism in relation to its environment. Now this is what horticology. So horticology is actually the answer to this question because it involves what study of only one species of organism in relation to its environment. But synecology here, which is a branch of ecology, this is the study of different communities, that is various species of organisms. So the answer to this question is option A, horticology. Now biology here is simply the study of what? Life. The study of life is biology here. So the answer to this question is what? Option A, horticology. Thank you and God bless you. And subscribe to the channel to get more of our videos and past questions. Hello, good day and welcome. I will be answering Neco 2019 Biology Past Question 10. The following are biotic factors except A. Dispersal, B. Humidity, C. Natality, D. Parasitism, and E. Predation. Biotic factors are the living components of an ecosystem. They are the living parts or components of an ecosystem or in an ecosystem. And like you know, the ecosystem is made up of the biotic factors. The biotic factors involving the plants and animals and everything what associated with them, involving plants and animals and the activities, and the abiotic factor, which is the non-living components such as temperature, sunlight, climate, topography, humidity. Now all these are humidity, all these are abiotic factors, and so on. Now the question says the following are biotic factors except A. Here says dispersal. Dispersal involves plants and animals, that is dispersal, movement from one place to another. It involves plants and animals, so it is a biotic factor. Now natality simply means death. It's also a biotic factor because it involves plants and animals. Parasitism too is also a factor that involves plants and animals. That's parasites. Parasites are animals, so parasitism is a biotic factor. Likewise, predation is also a biotic factor because it involves animals. But now humidity here is an abiotic factor because it's not a living component. All this now are associated with the living components, but this natality, humidity here, humidity it's not what? It's not associated with a living component. It's a non-living component of the what? Of the ecosystem. So therefore, it is the answer to this question, because the question says biotic factors except. So the answer is humidity. Humidity is the right answer to this question. Thank you and God bless you. And sure subscribe to the channel for more videos. Neco 2019 Biology Past Question, question 11. The instrument used for measuring turbidity of water is A. Anemometer, B. Barometer, C. Hydrometer, D. Photometer, and E. Secchidix. Now, turbidity, like we know, is one of the abiotic factors of the ecosystem, and turbidity is caused by the presence of suspended matter. In water. Now, turbidity prevents the penetration of light into the water, and so it affects the activities of photosynthetic organisms. And so we refer to as turbidity as part of the ecosystem, because it's an abiotic factor that also affects the biotic components of the ecosystem, because it affects the photosynthetic organism, because it prevents light from penetrating into the water. Now, turbidity is actually measured using the Secchidix. The Secchidix is used to measure turbidity. Now, this is done by what? By putting the Secchidix. The Secchidix is usually white. Now, by lowering the Secchidix into the water, by lowering this disc into the water, and noting the depth at which this disc is no longer visible, it is no longer visible, the turbidity can be estimated. The turbidity of the water can be estimated. So therefore, Secchidix is what is used to measure turbidity. Now, anemometer here, which is option A, is actually used to measure the speed of wind. That's wind speed. Barometer is used to measure pressure. Hydrometer is used to measure relative density, and photometer is used to measure light intensity. But Secchidix, option E, is used to measure turbidity. Thank you, and just subscribe to our channel for more videos and past questions. Hello, good day and welcome. I will be answering Neco 2019 Biology Past Question, question 12. Organisms that produces their own food are called A. Autotrophs, B. Carnivores, C. Herbivores, D. Heterotrophs, and E. Omnivores. Now we're asked to pick an option which is described as animals or organisms that produce their own food. Now option A here says autotrophs. Now this word autotroph simply means what? Organisms. Autotrophs are organisms that produces their own food. We call this organism what? Autotrophs, because they have the ability to produce their own food. And these organisms are actually what? They are plants. They are green plants. They use sunlight, water, and chlorophyll to produce their food through a process known as what? Photosynthesis. And that is why we say what? They are autotrophs, because they have the ability to produce their own food through a process known as photosynthesis. Now option B here says carnivores. Carnivores are simply organisms that feed on flesh or animals. Organisms that feed on flesh. Example is the lion, tigers, leopard, and the rest. Now option C says herbivores. Herbivores are organisms that feed on plant materials. Example is the cattle, goats, sheep, and so on. Now the heterotrophs now are organisms Heterotrophs are organisms that depends on the autotrophs, which are the plants. So they depend on the autotrophs, which are plants, for food. So therefore, the heterotrophs are organisms that cannot produce their own food. They depend on the autotrophs or the plants for their food. Now omnivores, which is option E, simply refers to organisms that feed on both plants and animals. Organisms that feed on both plants and animals. And a typical example of omnivores is human or man. So therefore, from this explanation that I've just given, you agree with me that the answer to this question is option A, autotrophs, because autotrophs are simply organisms that has the ability to produce their own food through a process known as photosynthesis. And I say these organisms are actually what? Green plants. So the answer to this question is option A, autotrophs. Thank you and God bless you, and subscribe to the channel for more videos and for more past questions. Hello, good day and welcome. I will be answering Neco 2019 Biology Past Question 13. The association between man and tapeworm is A. Commensalism, B. Mutualism, C. Parasitism, D. Predation, and E. Saprophytism. So we asked for the association between man and tapeworm. Now let's briefly describe the association between man and tapeworm. Now, like we know, tapeworm are flatworms. They belong to the phylum Platyhelminthes. So they are flatworm. Tapeworm and flatworm. And this tapeworm are actually what they live in the intestine of man. They live in the intestine of man. And now their activities in the gut or the intestine of man is that they consume or they feed on the digested food. They feed on the digested food present in the intestine. Now, as they feed on this digested food present in the intestine, they take away all the nutritive substances and thereby cause also anemia in man. They take away all nutritive substances and thereby cause anemia. They cause anemia in man. Now you see that the activities of this tapeworm in man is actually harmful, because they live in the intestine, that is in the gut of man, feed on the digested food which is supposed to be used by the man, take away all the nutritive substances and causes anemia. They also cause vomiting in severe cases and even irritate the walls of the intestine. Now you see that these activities are actually harmful on man. That is, activities of tapeworm are harmful on man, and tapeworm actually live in man. Now let's describe the options. Option A says commensalism. Now commensalism is a type of association whereby one of the organisms known as the commensal benefits from this association. The commensal benefits, but the other organism neither benefits nor harmed. That is, the other organism is referred to as a neutral organism. The other organism is referred to as as a neutral organism. It is neither benefited nor harmed from this association. An example can be seen in shark and remora fish. You can see this in shark and remora fish. Now, option B says mutualism. In mutualism, both organisms involved actually gain. That is, both organisms involved in mutualism, this association, they benefit from each other. They benefit from each other. And an example of mutualism is what you see in cattle and tick birds. cattle and tick birds. Now, the tick birds feeds on the cat on the ticks on the body of the cattle, and also the cattle benefits by what by the ticks being taken away from their body, so that making them free from ticks. Now C says parasitism. Now parasitism is a type of association whereby an organism known as the parasite lives and feed on the body of the hosts. It lives and feeds on the body of the hosts and causes what? And causes damage to the host. That's what parasitism. Now option D says predation. In terms of predation, an organism known as the predator actually what hunts the prey. It hunts the other organism, what we call the prey, for food. An example, you will see that in lion and its prey, like maybe lion and the antelope. Now the lion is the predator because it goes to hunt for its prey, which is the antelope, for food. Now option E says saprophytism. Now saprophytism is a type of relationship whereby the organisms feed on dead remains. They feed on dead remains, and vulture usually practices this saprophytism, this type of association. Now, from my description of all these options, you will see that the association between man and tapeworm is parasitism, because the tapeworm is a parasite that lives and feed. It lives inside the man, which is the host, that is in the intestine of man. Man being the host and the tapeworm being the parasite. Now it feeds on the host, that is feeding on digested food present in the intestine of the host, which is man, and also what causes damage to man by causing anemia, vomiting, and other sort of diseases. So the association between man and tapeworm is parasitism. Option C. Thank you and God bless you. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for more videos. Hello, good day and welcome. I will be answering Neco 2019 Biology Past Question 14. Activities prohibited at national parks include the following, except A. Game hunting, B. Grazing, C. Hunting, D. Lodging, and E. Mining. Now, what are national parks? National parks are simply what? National parks are They are park used for the conservation of the environment. These parks are majorly created for the conservation of the environment, that is for conservation purposes, and they are actually created and protected by the government. So they are created and protected by the government, and that's why we refer to them as national parks. Like I said, they are used for conservation of the environment. Now, activities prohibited in the national parks includes hunting. Hunting is prohibited. Lodging, like we know, lodging simply means deforestation, lodging of wood, as falling down of trees. Mining is actually prohibited in national parks. Also, overgrazing is prohibited. Overgrazing. Likewise, game hunting, like we know, game hunting simply means hunting for animals. Game hunting is also prohibited in national parks. Now the question says activities prohibited at national parks include the following, except. Actually, game hunting is prohibited, hunting is prohibited, falling of trees is prohibited, and mining is also prohibited. Now option B here says what? Option B here says grazing. Now grazing is not prohibited in a national park, but overgrazing is prohibited. So take notes. Grazing is not prohibited because grazing simply means animals feeding on grasses, and like you know, in national parks you find animals and these animals actually feed on grasses. That's grazing. But now overgrazing is prohibited in a national park because a national park actually aims to conserve the environment, and overgrazing will help to deplete the environment. So grazing is actually the answer to this question. It is not prohibited in a national park. Option B is the correct answer. Thank you and God bless you. And sure to subscribe to our channel for more videos. Hello, good day, and welcome. I'll be answering Neco 2019 Biology Past Question 15. A pollutant that causes suffocation and death when combined with hemoglobin is A. Carbon monoxide, B. Carbon dioxide, C. Lead, D. Nitric oxide, and E. Sulfur dioxide. Now, all these are air pollutants. And we are asked that what the air pollutants or a pollutant that causes suffocation and death when combined with hemoglobin is. Now, the answer to this question is actually option E, carbon monoxide, because carbon monoxide is a poisonous gas. Now, carbon monoxide being a poisonous gas, that is CO, will combine, when inhaled, will combine with hemoglobin present in the red blood cell. Let me term the hemoglobin HB in red blood cell. It combine with hemoglobin in the red blood cell to form carboxyhemoglobin. Now, this carboxyhemoglobin has no affinity for oxygen. It has no affinity for oxygen, and like we know, oxygen is very important in humans, because the brain consumes a lot of energy, oxygen. Now, when this carbon monoxide combine with hemoglobin to form carboxyhemoglobin, its affinity for oxygen is decreased, and as blood goes to the brain, there's lack of oxygen, so the brain lacks oxygen, and because of this, there will be suffocation. The brain will suffer suffocation, and when this persists after a long period of time, it will lead to what? It will lead to death. So the answer to this question is what? Carbon monoxide. Carbon monoxide is a very, very poisonous gas. Carbon monoxide. Thank you, and make sure you subscribe to our channel for more videos. Good day and welcome. I'll be answering Neco 2019 Biology Past Question 16. The following are renewable natural resources except A. Air, B. Coal, C. Plants, D. Soil, and E. Water. Now, what are renewable natural resources? Now, renewable natural resources are those resources. They are those resources that cannot be used up over time. Cannot be used up over time. Now, these natural resources can be recycled. They can be recycled. So, examples include the soil or land, the atmosphere or the air, forests, that includes plants and animals, water, and wildlife. So all these are renewable natural resources because they can be recycled. They can't be used up. Option A, which is air, is a renewable resources. B, plant, C, plant is a renewable resources. D, soil is also renewable, and E, water is renewable. But option B, which is coal, is non-renewable. It's a renewable energy resource because once used up, it cannot be recycled. So therefore, it is non-renewable. And this is the answer to this question. Thank you, and be sure you subscribe to our channel for more videos and past questions. Hello, good day, and welcome. I'll be answering Neco 2019 Biology Past Question 17. Housefly carries microorganisms that causes A. Cholera, B. Leprosy, C. Malaria, D. Tetanus, and E. Tuberculosis. Now, housefly are referred to as vectors. They are disease vectors. That is, they are organisms that carry disease causing organisms. In other words, they are simply organisms that carry pathogens. Now, housefly carries the pathogen or the microorganism microorganism that causes cholera. That causes cholera, and that is option A. So the microorganism that causes cholera is what actually carried by housefly, and this is transferred when housefly comes in contact with our consumable product. When it comes in contact with our consumable products, so housefly carries microorganism that causes cholera, and that is the answer to this question. Thank you, and ensure you subscribe to the channel for more videos. Hello, good day and welcome. I will be answering Neco 2019 Biology Pass question 18. Which of the following is not a method of preventing malaria? A. Breeding mosquitoes. B. Clearing bushes around the house. C. Draining of stagnant water. D. Fumigating the environment. And E. Use of mosquito nets. Now, like we know, malaria is actually caused by the microorganism. It's caused by the microorganism carried by the female Anopheles mosquito. Female Anopheles mosquito. And this microorganism is known as the Plasmodium. So Plasmodium is the microorganism carried by this mosquito, which causes malaria. Now, in order for us to prevent malaria, the best thing to do is to ensure that mosquitoes are eliminated from our environment. So to eliminate mosquitoes from our environment or surrounding, so this is the best way to prevent malaria. Now, by eliminating mosquitoes from the environment, we are carrying out all the procedures or processes involved in chasing mosquitoes out of our surroundings. Now, option A says breeding mosquito. Breeding mosquito simply means cultivating mosquito, and cultivating mosquito will not prevent malaria. So breeding of mosquitoes will not prevent malaria because it will only increase its prevalence in our surrounding. Now, option B says clearing bushes around the house. Yes, clearing of bushes around the house will help to prevent malaria. Draining of stagnant water also prevents malaria because draining of stagnant water will help reduce the stay of its eggs on the stagnant water. Also, fumigating the environment kills the mosquito, and use of mosquito nets will tend to prevent mosquito from getting in contact with the skin. So now, breeding mosquito is not a method of preventing malaria. Hello, good day and welcome. I will be answering Neco 2019 Biology Pass question 19. The tip of an inoculating loop is heated before use to A. Attract microorganisms. B. Enable easy attachment of microorganisms. C. Help penetrate culture media with ease. D. Make the tip firm. And E. Sterilize the loop. An inoculating loop is actually a simple tool. It is a simple tool used by microbiologists to pick up and transfer a small sample from a culture of microorganism. Now, this is what an inoculating loop is. Now, this inoculating loop has a tip, and before an inoculating loop can be used, it has to be sterilized. It has to be sterilized because it is dipped into the culture solution in order to take a sample of this culture. So before doing that, it has to be sterilized, and sterilizing this tip of inoculating loop involves application of heat. application of heat, and this is done by passing it over the flames of a Bunsen burner, and by so doing, it is what? It is sterilized. So the tip of an inoculating loop is actually heated before used to what? To sterilize the loop. Option E is the answer, to sterilize it. Thank you and God bless you, and share subscribe to our channel for more videos. Hello, good day and welcome. I will be answering Neco 2019 Biology Past Question 20. The following are groups of microorganisms except A. Algae, B. Bacteria, C. Fungi, D. Nematodes, and E. Protozoa. Now, microorganisms are microscopic. They are referred to as microscopic organisms. That is where the name is being derived from, microorganisms. This micro simply means what? Microscopic, and that is, these organisms are too small to be seen with the naked eyes. Are too small to be seen with the naked eyes. They are actually seen with us with the use of microscope. Now, these microorganisms includes the bacteria, viruses, fungi, the protozoa, the nematodes, and the microalgae. Now the options here says, option A says algae, B says bacteria, C says fungi, D nematode, and E protozoa. Now from option B to option E, they are all what? Microorganisms. They are all microorganisms. But for option A, algae, if we are given microalgae, then we are saying microalgae is what? Is a microorganism. But algae generally are not microorganism. So therefore, the best answer to this question is actually option A, algae. Thank you and God bless you, and subscribe to the channel for more videos. Hello, good day and welcome. I will be answering Neco 2019 Biology Past Question 21. The following are examples of tropic responses except A. Chemotropism, B. Geotropism, C. Hydrotropism, D. Phototropism, and E. Thigmotropism. So we are asked what? For the examples of tropic responses except. Now a tropic response occur when parts, that is a part of an organism, mostly plants, part of an organism, mostly what? Plants, move in response to a directional stimuli, stimulus. Now, unlike the taxis response or the tactic response, in terms of the tactic response, the whole organism moves in response to a directional stimulus. That's for tactic response. But for a tropic response, which is mostly occur in plants, just parts of this organism or part of the plants moves in response to this directional stimuli. Now, example of this tropic response includes phototropism, whereby the part of a plant, like the shoots of a plant, responds to light. It moves in the direction of the light. That's phototropism. Another example is the geotropism. Also, the shoot of plants responds to gravity. That's geotropism. Those parts of the plant, not the whole plant. Also, hydrotropism, as you can see in the roots of plants. Roots of plants moves in the direction of water. That is hydrotropism. Then you have the thigmotropism. Thigmotropism is also an example of a tropic response, whereby the plant parts moves in response to touch. You can see this word in tendrils of plants. like your yam plant, the tendrils of yam plant. You see that it winds around a particular object just because it's responding to to touch. That is stigmotropism. The part of the plant, now not the whole organism respond, just the parts of this organism moves in the direction of the directional stimuli. Now option A here says chemotropism. Now parts of plants do not respond to chemicals. In terms of chemical response, the whole organism respond to chemical. The whole organism respond to chemical, and we call that chemotaxics. Chemotaxics is a tactic response, because whenever there's a chemical response, the whole organism responds to this chemical, and that is chemotaxics. So there is nothing like chemotropism, and so therefore chemotropism is the answer to this question, because it is not a tropic response. Geotropism, hydrotropism, phototropism, and technotropism are all tropic response except chemotropism. So this is the answer to this question. Thank you, and ensure to subscribe to our channel to get more of our videos and past questions. Hello, good day and welcome. I'll be answering Neco 2019 Biology Past Question 22. Cellular respiration occurs in the A. centrioles, B. cytoplasm, C. mitochondria, D. nucleus, and E. ribosome. So cellular respiration occurs in the... Now, what is cellular respiration? Cellular respiration. Now, cellular respiration is a metabolic process in which oxygen... So I say cellular respiration is a metabolic process in which oxygen is used by cells to produce energy in form of ATP. Like we know, ATP simply means adenosine triphosphate, which is a unit of energy that is being used up by cells in the body. So cellular respiration simply involves the conversion, that is the use of energy to produce the use of oxygen to produce energy, which is ATP. Now this cellular respiration occurs in the mitochondria of the cell. It occurs in the mitochondria of the cell, and this is because the mitochondria is regarded, or that is why mitochondria is regarded as the powerhouse. That is why mitochondria is regarded as powerhouse of a cell, because it is in this mitochondria cellular respiration occurs, thereby producing energy that is being required by the body, or that is being used by the body. So cellular respiration occurs in the cytoplasm, and that is option C. Occurs in the mitochondria, sorry, which is option C. Centrals here is for cell division. Centrals is for cell division. Then the nucleus, like we know, controls the cell activities. Controls all cell activities. And the ribosome here is for protein synthesis. Protein synthesis. Then the cytoplasm is like a jelly fluid, whereby all these cell organelles are actually suspended. But the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, and that is where cellular respiration occurs to provide energy for the body. Thank you, and God bless you. Ensure to subscribe to the channel to get more of our videos and past questions. Hello, good day and welcome. I'll be answering Neco 2019 Biology Past Question 23. The mode of nutrition in Spirogyra is A. Halophytic, B. Holophytic, C. Parasitic, D. Photosynthetic, and E. Saprophytic. So the question is the mode of nutrition in Spirogyra. And like we know, Spirogyra is an algae. Spirogyra is an algae, and it has chlorophyll. So Spirogyra has chlorophyll. Now Spirogyra produces its own food. Spirogyra produces its own food via the process known as photosynthesis. Photosynthesis using sunlight, water, and chlorophyll. Using sunlight, water, and chlorophyll. So Spirogyra, although it's an algae, but what acts like a green plant. You know, green plants manufacture their food via photosynthesis. Also, Spirogyra manufacture its own food via what? Photosynthesis, because it contains chlorophyll and it uses this chlorophyll, water, and sunlight to manufacture its own food. So therefore, the mode of nutrition in Spirogyra is regarded as what? Photosynthetic what? Mode of nutrition. That is, Spirogyra are autotrophic. They can produce their own food via photosynthesis. So regard to them as what? Photosynthetic mode of nutrition. Now, in halophytic mode of nutrition, the organisms actually what? Feed on carbonic acids, ammonia, and what? And nitrates. They feed on what? Carbonic acids, ammonia, nitrates from substances. That's what this mode of nutrition. Then for holophytic, this is where what? The plants or the organism feeds on fluid-like what? Materials. Fluid-like materials. Why for holozoic, they feed on what? Solid materials like in man. But fluid-like materials, when the mode of nutrition involves fluid-like materials, it is said to be what? Holophytic. Then parasitic mode of nutrition is a type that is exhibited by what? A parasite. You know, parasites, they live on the body of their host and feed on the host. We can refer to that as a parasitic mode of nutrition. Then saprophytic mode of nutrition is where what? The organism feeds on decayed what? Materials. Decayed materials. That's what we call saprophytic. But the type exhibited by the Spirogyra is photosynthetic, and that is option D. And I'm giving you the reason because they contain chlorophyll, so they use what? Sunlight, water, and this chlorophyll to manufacture their food. Thank you and God bless you. And subscribe to our channel for more videos and past questions. Hello, good day and welcome. I'll be answering Neco 2019 Biology Past Question 24. The function of ribosome is for A. Excretion, B. Protein synthesis, C. Reproduction, D. Respiration, and E. Secretion of hormones. Now they are asked to find the function of ribosome, and like we know, ribosome is a cell organelle. Ribosome is a cell organelle. Now we are asked to find the function of ribosome. Now ribosomes are minute. They are minute particles consisting of RNA, that's the ribonucleic acid, and associated proteins. Now these associated proteins are often enzymes. We call these enzymes the ribozymes. Associated proteins that function towards synthesize proteins. That is, the RNA and these associated proteins in the ribozyme function to synthesize what? To synthesize protein. That is, they're responsible for protein synthesis. Therefore, ribosome functions for what? Protein synthesis, and that is option B. Due to the RNA and associated protein, it is what it contains. So the function of ribosome is for protein synthesis. Now the part of the cell responsible for reproduction is the centrioles, that is cell division, the centrioles. Then for respiration is the mitochondria. Mitochondria is responsible for respiration. And then for secretion of hormones, you can say the Golgi bodies or Golgi apparatus, and the secretory granules. Secretion of hormones, Golgi apparatus, and also the secretory vesicles. Secretory vesicles are also responsible for secretion of hormones. The Golgi apparatus actually helps to package these hormones and distribute them. Then the secretory vesicles secrete these hormones. Then for excretion, you can see even the cell membrane here. The cell membrane in some organisms actually helps in removal of unwanted substances. That's excretion. But the part responsible for protein synthesis is the ribosome. So ribosome is responsible for protein synthesis, and that is option B. Thank you and God bless you, and subscribe to our channel for more videos. Hello, good day and welcome. I will be answering Neco 2019 biology past question 25. The thoracic vertebra is located in the A. Abdomen, B. Chest, C. Neck, D. Tail, and E. Waist. We are asked about the thoracic vertebra, that is, where is it located? Now, the vertebra is actually what we call the backbone. We call it the backbone, and it's mostly found in vertebrates like man. For instance, we have this vertebra, and these vertebrae are actually divided into what? Into 5. We have the cervical vertebra, we have the thoracic vertebra, we have the lumbar vertebra, the sacral vertebra, and the coccygeal vertebra. Now, each of these vertebrae has its own specific location. Option A here says abdomen. Now, abdomen is actually the location for the lumbar vertebra. So the lumbar vertebra is located in the what? In the abdomen. Now, B says chest. Chest is actually what? The location for the thoracic vertebra. Chest. Now, C says neck. Neck is the location for the cervical vertebra. D says tail. Tail is the location for the what? Coccygeal. And then E says waist. Waist is the location for the sacral vertebra. So the answer to this question, which is the location of thoracic vertebra, is actually the chest. The thoracic vertebra is located in the chest, and this thoracic vertebra provides attachments for the ribs. For the ribs, so it's located in the chest region. Thank you and God bless you. And subscribe to our channel for more videos and for more past questions. Hello, good day and welcome. I will be answering Neco 2019 biology past question 26. Which of the following is not an exoskeletal material? A. Chitin, B. Hoof, C. Nail, D. Scapula, and E. Scale. Which of the following is not an exoskeletal material? Now, exoskeletal material are non-living materials. They are non-living materials which forms on the outside of organism. On the outside of organisms. Now, let's look at these options. Now, A says chitin. Now, like you know, chitin is found on the outside of the what? Arthropods. That is the insects. You find chitin on the outside of insects. This chitin helps to protect these insects. Then B says hoof. You find this hoof on the legs or the foot of cattle, farm animals, like the cattle, the sheep, the goats. You find this hoof. The horses, you find the hoof there, and you know that you will notice that they are non-living what materials, and they're actually located on the outside. This outside is very important. That's where this exo is coming from. So they are found on the outside of the organism, but they actually what helps to protect this organism, because that is a function of skeleton. The skeletal system helps to protect. Then C says nail. You find this nail in man also. You find it on the outside of man. It's also what helps to protect man. Then option D says scapula. Now scapula is a bone. Scapula is a bone. You find it mostly like it is more prominent on the posterior aspects of the back of the body. That's posterior aspects of the body. You'll find this scapula, so it's a bone, and this scapula is what is an endoskeletal material. It's an endoskeletal material because bones are what are endoskeletons. Because you find scapula inside the body, not outside the body. Scapula is located inside the body, where muscles provide attachment for muscles, and also for what? For movement. So it's an endoskeletal material, not an exoskeletal material. Take notes. Then the scale here is an exoskeletal material found on the body of fish. On the body of fishes. You find scale on the body of fishes, and also on lizard also. And lizards. You find the scales. So all these are what All these are exoskeletal material except scapula. Scapula is an endoskeleton because it is a bone, and bones are located inside the body. So scapula is not an exoskeletal material. So the answer to this question is option D. Thank you, and ensure to subscribe to the channel for more videos and past questions. Hello, good day and welcome. I will be answering Neco 2019 Biology Past Question 27. The rib cage in mammal is made up of the ribs and the A. clavicle, B. humerus, C. patella, D. scapula, and E. sternum. Now the question is, the rib cage in mammal is made up of the ribs and the... Now, the rib cage is located in the chest region. We call it the thorax. It's called the thorax, as the chest region, and it helps protect delicate organs in this region. These organs include the heart, majorly, and the two lungs, that's the right and the left lungs. So the rib cage helps to protect this heart and the lungs. Now the rib cage is composed of the ribs, and these ribs are actually attached to the vertebral bones, and then also the sternum, or what is referred to as the breastplate. So this sternum actually provides attachments for the ribs in the front part of the chest region, while the vertebral bones provide attachment for the ribs in the posterior part of the body. So the rib cage is made up of the ribs and the sternum, or the breastbone, and the sternum is actually option E. Now the clavicle here just provides attachments for the scapula, that is, it attaches the scapula to the body. Then the humerus here is the bone of the arm. The patella is the kneecap, and the scapula here is the shoulder blade. You can call this clavicle the collarbone, also known as the collarbone. But the sternum and the ribs make up the rib cage that helps protect the heart and the lungs. So option E is the answer to this question. Thank you and God bless you. Ensure to subscribe to the channel for more videos. And welcome. I will be answering Neco 2019 Biology Past Question 28. The joint that allows movement in all directions is A. ball and socket joint, B. gliding and sliding joint, C. hinge joint, D. pivot, and E. suture joint. Now the ball and socket joint is actually a type of joint. It's a synovial joint. We call them synovial joints because of the presence of synovial fluids and synovial membrane. The synovial joint that allows movement in all direction. So it allows movement in all direction. Example of the ball and socket joint is the shoulder joint or the hip joint. And if you can see, you can move your arm in different directions. This is because of the presence of the ball and socket joint. Now option B says gliding and sliding joints. Now gliding and sliding joints occurs between surfaces of two flat bones. That are held together by ligaments. Such that then example is the wrist joint or the ankle joint. So these two flat bones, the surfaces are actually held together by ligaments, so they are able to slide over each other, and that is why we call it gliding and sliding joints. You find this in the wrist and in the ankle. Now C is hinge joint. Now hinge joint is also a synovial joint that allows movements in only one plane, that is in only one direction. in only one direction, and that is flexion and extension. An example of this hinge joint is the elbow and knee joint. The elbow and knee joint is typical example of the hinge joint. Now the pivot joint. The pivot joint is also a synovial joint, that in which the ends of two bones meet now in such a way that one end of this bone form a central bony cylinder and the other end form a ring. So we call it a pivot joint. Like it, one end of the bone, take for instance one end of the bone like this, form a central cylinder, and then the other bone forms something like a ring like this. So we call it a pivot joint. And an example where you can find this pivot joint is in the neck. The neck is a typical example where these pivot joints can be found. That's joint of the neck. Now option E says suture. Now this suture bones is only found in the skull. The joint in the skull is the suture bone, whereby the bones of the skull are actually attached together by fibers. They are attached by fibers, so they form the suture joints. So it's only found in the skull. Now from the question says the joint that allows movements in all directions is A, ball and socket joint. So like I said ball and socket joint is a synovial joint that allows movement in all directions, and that is an example is the shoulder joint and the hip joint. So option A is the answer to this question. Thank you, and ensure to subscribe to our channel for more videos and for more past questions. Hello, good day and welcome. I will be answering Neco 2019 Biology Past Question 29. Which of the following enzyme acts in the mouth? A. Lipase, B. Pepsin, C. Thiolin, D. Renin, and E. Trypsin. Now, first of all, what are enzymes? Enzymes are organic catalysts, or you can call them biological catalysts, that speed up the rate of chemical reactions in the body. So you can actually say they speed up the rate of what? Metabolism, chemical reaction in the body. Now, each of these enzymes has its own location, that is its particular parts where they are actually located, and they are actually secreted by different organs. Option A here says lipase. Now lipase is an enzyme that acts on fats, and it's actually found, you find this lipase actually in the intestine, that is the small intestine. That is where this lipase is found. Now pepsin is an enzyme that acts on protein, and you find pepsin in the stomach. Now enzyme thiolin is an enzyme that acts on cooked carbohydrates, and you find this enzyme thiolin in the salivary gland present in the mouth. Now renin is an enzyme that acts on proteins in milk, and this enzyme renin is actually found in babies, mostly in babies, and you find this enzyme in the stomach. An enzyme trypsin is also an enzyme that acts on proteins. It is actually released by the duodenum, but you find it most especially in the small intestine, or in the duodenum, also the duodenal part of the small intestine. So the question says which of the following enzyme acts in the mouth, and from these options here and the analysis I've made, enzyme thiolin is the only enzyme that is found in the mouth, and like I said, this enzyme acts on cooked carbohydrates. So enzyme thiolin is found in the mouth, and it is secreted with the saliva. So the answer to this question is actually option C, thiolin. Thank you and God bless you. Ensure to subscribe to our channel for more videos and past questions. Hello, good day and welcome. I will be answering Neco 2019 Biology Past Question 30. Which of the following animals is not a fluid feeder? A. Butterfly, C. Greenfly, B. Greenfly, C. Mosquito, D. Tick, and E. Grasshopper. So the question is which of the following animals is not a fluid feeder? Now fluid feeder are simply organisms or animals that They feed on fluid-like materials. Fluid-like materials. That's for their essential what? Nutrients. For essential nutrients. Now, option A says butterfly. Butterfly is a fluid feeder because what? It sucks the nectar present in flowers. You notice that butterfly are always found near in flowering plants. This is because they feed on the nectar of these flowering plants. Likewise, the green fly also. The green fly also is a fluid feeder. The green fly is a fluid feeder. Likewise, the mosquito. Mosquito is also a good fluid feeder because they feed on what? Blood. Tick also is a fluid feeder. It also feeds on blood of what? Of animals. Now, option E says grasshopper. Grasshopper is not a fluid feeder because grasshopper feeds on the leaves of plants. It feeds on the leaves of plants, so it is not a fluid feeder. Therefore, the answer to this question is actually option E, grasshopper. Grasshopper is not a fluid feeder. Thank you and God bless you, and just subscribe to the channel for more videos. Hello, good day and welcome. I will be answering Neco 2019 Biology Pass question 31. The enzyme that converts protein to peptone is A. Amylase, B. Erepsin, C. Lipase, D. Pepsin, and E. Renin. So we are asked for the enzyme that converts protein to peptone. Now these peptone are polypeptides. Polypeptides. Like we know, enzymes are organic catalysts that help to speed up with chemical reaction, as they help to speed up metabolic processes in the body. Now, option A says amylase. Amylase is an enzyme, or you can say amylase are enzymes, yes, because amylase is used to refer to as group of enzymes that act on carbohydrates. So amylase is a general name for the group of enzymes that act on carbohydrate food. That's for amylase. So therefore, they do not act on protein. Now this is erepsin. Now erepsin is an enzyme that is located in the duodenum. You find this in the small intestine, the duodenum, and it helps to convert. It helps to convert proteins to polypeptides. That is, the proteins that were not acted upon by pepsin in the stomach. Now, C says lipase. Lipase is an enzyme that converts fat and oil. It acts on fat and oil. That is lipase. So lipase acts on fat and oil to give fatty acids and glycerol. Now pepsin. Pepsin is the first protein enzyme, that is the first enzyme located in the stomach that acts on protein. It converts these proteins to peptones, which are also polypeptides. Now option E says renin. Renin is also is an enzyme located in the stomach that acts on milk protein. It acts on milk protein. Now the question says the enzyme that converts proteins to peptones is. Now if you look at these options that I just described, you see that B here says erepsin, which acts on proteins, and option D here says pepsin, which also acts on proteins. But now the most correct answer to this question is actually pepsin. The correct answer is pepsin because pepsin is the first enzyme that acts on the proteins as they go into the stomach. You know, the food in the stomach will spend some hours, and then this enzyme pepsin will act on this protein and convert them to peptones or polypeptides. Then those that are not acted upon by this enzyme pepsin will now go into the small intestine and be acted upon by erepsin. So the main enzyme that converts protein to peptone is actually enzyme pepsin, which is option D. So option D is the correct answer to this question. Thank you and God bless you. And subscribe to the channel for more videos. Hello, good day and welcome. Today I'm going to be answering Neco 2019 Biology Past Question 32. The dental formula, that is I, the incisor is equals to 3 over 3, C, the canine is equals to 1 over 1, P, premolar is equals to 4 over 4, and M, molar is equals to 2 over 3. Then everything together to give 42, that is 42 tooth. Represents that of A, dog, B, goat, C, man, D, rabbit, and E, sheep. So we are asked to ascertain the animal that possesses this dental formula. Now, like we know, dental formula shows the number. Dental formula shows the number and types of teeth. Dental formula shows the number and type of teeth an animal has in 1/2 of each jaw. So, meaning that dental formula represents the number of teeth an animal has in 1/2 of each jaw, that is both upper and lower jaw. Now, the ones in the numerator represent the upper jaw and the denominator represent the lower jaw. Now, let's briefly establish the dental formula of these following animals. Now, option A here says dog. Now, the dental formula for dog, you have the incisor to be 3 over 3, the canine to be 1 over 1, the premolar to be 4 over 4, and then the molar to be 3 over 3. Now, this is for what? For dog. So, the molar to be 2 over 3, 2 over 3. That's the molar, that is 2 molar in the upper jaw and 3 molar in the lower jaw. Remember, it is what? 1/2 of each jaw. So altogether, when you carry out the sum or the arithmetic, it will give you 42. Then option B, option D, and option E are all herbivores. Remember, dog is a carnivore, and carnivores have the same dental formula, but goat, rabbit, and sheep are herbivores, and they have the same dental formula. So for option B, D, and E, they have the same formula. That is, for the goat, rabbit, and sheep, the incisor I is equals to 2 over 1. That means 2 in the upper jaw, 1 in the lower jaw. That's the half of the upper jaw and lower jaw. Then C, the canine, is 0 over 0, meaning that they have no canine. Then P is equals to, the premolar is equals to 3 over 2. So in 1/2 of the upper jaw they have 3 premolar, and in 1/2 of the lower jaw they have 2 premolar. And then M, molar, is equals to 3 over 3. That is, in the 1/2 of the upper jaw they have 3 molar, and in the 1/2 of the lower jaw they have 3 molar. Then option C, which is man, is giving us I, which is the incisor, 2 over 2, C, canine, 1 over 1, P, premolar, 2 over 2, and M, molar, 3 over 3. Now, from this, you will see that the animal with this dental formula is actually what? Option A, dog. Like you can see, dog has 3 incisor on 1/2 of the upper jaw, and likewise on 1/2 of the lower jaw, 1 canine on the 1/2 of the upper jaw, and the same with the 1/2 of the lower jaw, 4 premolar on 1/2 of the upper jaw, and likewise 1/2 of the lower jaw, and then 2 molar in 1/2 of the upper jaw, and 3 molar in 1/2 of the lower jaw. So therefore, the answer to this question is actually what? Dog. Dog is the animal with this dental formula, that is carnivores with this dental formula. Thank you and God bless you, and subscribe to our channel for more videos and past questions. Hello, good day and welcome. I will be answering Neco 2019 Biology Past Question 33. The function of blood platelets is to A. Distribute heat throughout the body, B. Fight pathogenic microorganisms, C. Help in clotting of blood, D. Produce antibodies, and E. Transport oxygen around the body. Now, the blood platelets is part of the blood cells. Remember, we have 3 blood cells. We have the blood platelets, the blood platelets, we have the red blood cell, and we have the white blood cell. Then we also have what the liquid components of the blood, which is the blood plasma. So these are the composition of the blood. Now we are asked for the function of the blood platelets. The blood platelet is responsible. The blood platelet is responsible for what? For the clotting of blood. Responsible for the clotting of blood. That is, whenever there is a break in the continuity of the skin, whenever there is injury, it is this blood platelets that initiates or is responsible for the clotting. This clotting simply means what? The closing of the injured part. That is, to prevent what? To stop or prevent bleeding. That is the action of the blood platelets. Now, option A says distribute heat throughout the body. This is not the function of the blood platelet. This is actually the function of what? The blood plasma, because the blood plasma is the liquid portion of the blood. Now, B says fight pathogenic microorganisms. Now, this is the function of the white blood cell. This is the function of the white blood cell. C says help in clotting. Yes, this is the function of the blood platelets. And this says produce antibody. This is the function of the white blood cell also. The white blood cells are responsible for defense mechanism of the body. Then option E says transport oxygen around the body. Now this is the function of the red blood cell. The red blood cell is concerned with the transport of respiratory gases such as oxygen and carbon dioxide due to the presence of hemoglobin. So the function of blood platelets is help in clotting of blood, and that is option C. Thank you, and ensure you subscribe to the channel for more videos and for more past questions. Hello, good day and welcome. I will be answering Neco 2019 Biology Past Question 34. Transpiration pool is the A. Flow of mineral salts from soil to plant roots. B. Flow of water from roots to leaves of plants. C. Movement of water across plant roots. D. Pressure of water on plant roots. And E. Transportation of water from leaves to roots. Now, transpiration pool. Transpiration pool is the flow of water from the roots through the xylem vessels, that is the vessel responsible for the conduction of water, which is the xylem vessel, to the cells of the leaf, to the cells of the leaves. And like we know, transpiration here on its own simply means what? The movement or the escape of water from leaves, that is stomata of leaf, in form of water vapor to the environment. Now, transpiration pool is just like a force that actually moves water, that is the flow of water from the roots. Remember, the roots conduct water from the soil. Now, the flow of water from these roots through the xylem vessels, which is the vessel responsible for the conduction of water and salt to the leaves, is what we refer to as transpiration pool. So after this water has been moved to the cells of the leaves, evaporation will then occur. Evaporation occurs, and then the water diffuses out of the plant as vapor through the stomata. So transpiration pool is what simply involves the flow of water from the roots to the leaves of plants for transpiration to occur. So option B is the right answer to this question. Flow of water from the roots to the leaves of plants. That is transpiration pool. Thank you, and God bless you. You should subscribe to the channel for more videos. Hello, good day and welcome. I will be answering Neco 2019 Biology Past Question 35. The main function of blood plasma is to A. Carry dissolved oxygen around the body. B. Fight pathogenic microorganisms. C. Form parts of blood. D. Help in production of bone marrow. And E. Transports dissolved substance. Now, the blood is made up of the liquid parts, which is known as the blood plasma, and the solid parts, that's the blood cells, which include the red blood cell, the white blood cell, and the platelets. Now, each of these components of the blood has their specific function, Now the blood plasma. The blood plasma is the liquid portion of the blood. Blood plasma is the liquid portion of the blood. Its main function is to transport all dissolved substances or materials, such as nutrients, the wastes, hormones, plasma proteins, and so on. So the function of the blood plasma is basically for transport of dissolved substances in it, because it is the liquid portion of the blood. Now option A says carry dissolved oxygen around the body. Now this is the function of the red blood cell. The red blood cells are responsible for the transport of oxygen due to the presence of hemoglobin. B says fight pathogenic microorganisms. This is the function of the white blood cells. White blood cells are concerned with defense mechanism of the body. C says forms part of the blood. Yes, it's part of the blood, but that is not the main function. And D says help in production of bone marrow. No. And E says transport of dissolved substances. Yes, this is the main function of the blood plasma. Transport dissolved substances ranging from the nutrients, the waste, and other substances. Thank you and God bless you. And just subscribe to the channel for more videos and past questions. Hello, good day and welcome. I'll be answering Neco 2019 biology past question 36. The thoracic cavity is separated from the abdominal cavity by A. Diaphragm, B. Epiglottis, C. Intercostal muscle, D. Pleural membrane, and E. Pyloric sphincter. Now the thoracic cavity is the chest region. That's the region consisting of the ribs and the sternum, that's the breastbone. Then the abdominal cavity is the abdomen. That's the place or the parts containing our viscerals, that is the stomach, the liver, your intestine. That is the abdominal cavity. Now this thoracic cavity contains the heart and the lungs, but it is separated from this abdominal cavity by a muscle. It is separated by a muscle known as the diaphragm. Now let me just give a brief sketch. Let's take, for instance, this is the thoracic cavity with the ribs. This is the sternum. With the ribs, like this is the sternum. Now the diaphragm is a muscle like this. This is the diaphragm. Separating this thoracic cavity here, let's say this is the thoracic cavity. Separating this thoracic cavity from the abdominal cavity. This is the abdominal cavity. So the diaphragm acts as a muscle. It's a muscle that stands between this thoracic cavity, that's the chest region, and the abdomen. So the answer to this question is option A, the diaphragm. The diaphragm is a muscle, and it also assists in inspiration and expiration. It separates this thoracic cavity from the abdominal cavity. Now the epiglottis here. Epiglottis is found in the neck region. The intercostal muscles, those are the muscles that are between the ribs. These muscles are between ribs. Then the pleural membrane is the membrane that covers the lungs. And the pyloric sphincter is a sphincter present in the pylorus of the stomach. You'll find it in the pylorus of the stomach. That is where the stomach enters into the duodenum. So the answer to this question is the diaphragm. Diaphragm is a muscle that separates the thoracic cavity from abdominal cavity. Thank you and God bless you. And just subscribe to the channel for more videos and past questions. Hello, good day and welcome. I will be answering Neco 2019 biology past question 37. Breathing in mammals is accompanied by regular movement of diaphragm and A. Clavicle, B. Intercostal muscle, C. Pleural cavity, D. The scapula, and E. Vertebral column. Now breathing simply involves the what? The taking in and out of air from the atmosphere. That's breathing. Now breathing are actually what? Accompanied by the movement of some muscles. That is, some muscles are the one that brings about what? These breathing activities in man. And this involves the regular movement of the diaphragm and the intercostal muscles. These muscles assist we humans or mammals in breathing. Now the diaphragm is a muscle that is found between the thoracic cavity. You'll find the diaphragm between the thoracic cavity and abdominal cavity. During inspiration, the diaphragm flattens to allow the lungs to occupy more air, and during expiration, the diaphragm returns to its normal shape, its dome shape, so that it can push out air out of the lungs. That's during expiration. Likewise, the intercostal muscles also. The intercostal muscles are, we have the external intercostal muscle, we have the internal intercostal muscle, and then we have the transverse and these are the main intercostal muscles. Now these intercostal muscles also contract and relaxes during inspiration and expiration. So breathing in mammals is actually accompanied by the regular movement of the diaphragm and the intercostal muscles, and that is option B. So option B is the answer to this question. Clavicle here is a bone, that is, we call it the collarbone. The pleural cavity is the cavity occupied by the lungs. The scapula is a bone also known as the shoulder blade. We call it the shoulder blade. And the vertebral column is the vertebral bones. So the answer to this question is option B, intercostal muscle. Thank you and God bless you. And just subscribe to our channel for more videos and past questions. Hello, good day and welcome. I will be answering Neco 2019 Biology Past Question 38. The tiny respiratory openings in the abdomen of an insect is called A. the alveolar, B. the spiracles, C. trachea, D. tracheals, and E. valves. So we are asked for the tiny respiratory openings in an abdomen. Now the tiny respiratory openings in an abdomen is called the tracheals. They are called the tracheals. Tracheals is the tiny respiratory openings in the abdomen of an insect. Let's take for instance, this is the abdomen of an insect. Now you will find tiny openings like this in the abdomen of this insect. Now these openings is referred to as the tracheals. Now how do these tracheals operate? Air enters into the insect, that is, air enters the insect, or the insect breathing air. The insect through the spiracles. So air enters into the insect through the spiracles. Then from the spiracles, the air goes into the trachea. So the trachea is actually the respiratory system of an insect into the trachea. Then from the trachea, the air then diffuses. The air diffuses into the tiny tracheals, into the tracheals within the body cells. That is, within the abdomen, within the body cells. So now, from these tracheals, the air then goes back into the surrounding. So that is how it operates. So the tiny openings, respiratory openings in the abdomen of an insect are the tracheals, and that is option D. Like I say air enters through the spiracles. It enters through the spiracles, then goes into the trachea of the insect, and then diffuse into the tracheals ends within the cell bodies or the body cells, and then goes into the into the environment. The alveolar here is a respiratory opening or a respiratory organ present in the lungs. You find the alveoli in the lungs, and these valves here, valves are actually found in the heart. You find valves in the heart and blood vessels. Valves helps to prevent the backflow of blood, while alveolar helps in gaseous exchange present in the lungs. But the spiracles, the trachea and the tracheus are concerned with insects. These are concerned with insects. But then the tracheus is the respiratory opening in the abdomen of an insect, and that is option D. So option D is the correct answer to this question. Thank you and God bless you. And just subscribe to the channel for more videos and past questions. Hello, good day and welcome. I will be answering Neco 2019 Biology Past Question 39. Which of the following is a drupe? A. Mango. B. Orange. C. Pawpaw. D. Pineapple. E. Tomato. So we are asked for an option that is a fruit which is classified as a drupe. Now, a drupe is a true simple fruit with a well-developed pericarp. Now, a drupe has its epicarp to be thin and forms the skin. Its mesocarp is fleshy or fibrous. And then its endocarp is usually hard and woody. And encloses seed. Now, from this description of a drupe, you agree with me that mango here is a drupe, because if you look at the characteristics of a drupe, its epicarp is thin and forms the skin. So also the epicarp of mango forms the skin and is also thin. Now the mesocarp is fleshy or fibrous. The mesocarp of mango is actually fleshy, and then the endocarp is hard and woody and encloses the seed, and that is correct for mango. Very correct. So a mango is a drupe. Now option B here says orange. Now orange is not a drupe. Orange is a hesperidium. We call it hesperidium. Pawpaw and tomatoes are not drupe also. They are berry. And then pineapple is a sorosis. Is not a drupe. But the only drupe here is mango, because it has a well-developed pericarp in which the epicarp is thin and forms the skin, its mesocarp is fleshy, and its endocarp is hard and woody. Another example of a drupe is the coconut. Coconut is another example of a drupe. So the answer to this question is option A, mango. Thank you, and ensure to subscribe to our channel for more videos and for more past questions. Hello, good day and welcome. I will be answering Neco 2019 Biology Past Question 40. The excretory organ of insects is A. Contractile vacuole, B. Flame cell, C. Malpighian tubule, D. Nephridia, and E. Urinary tubule. So we are asked for the excretory organs of insects. Now, excretory organs are organs that enables an organism to remove unwanted materials from the body. So that is the work or the function of excretory organs. Now, A says contractile vacuole. Contractile vacuole is the excretory organ of amoeba, or you can say protozoas. Then B says flame cell. Now, flame cell is the excretory organ for flatworms, like the tapeworm. Then C says Malpighian tubule. Now, Malpighian tubule is the excretory organ of insects. Insects like the grasshopper, can name them, the cockroach, and so on. Then Nephridia is the excretory organ for earthworm, and urinary tubule is the excretory organ for humans or mammals, higher animals. So the excretory organ of insects is Malpighian tubule, and that is option C. Thank you and God bless you. And just subscribe to the channel for more videos and for more past questions. Hello, good day and welcome. I will be answering Neco 2019 Biology Past Question 41. The organelle that removes excess water from the body of a protozoan is A. Cell wall, B. Contractile vacuole, C. Nucleus, D. Plasma membrane, and E. Protoplasm. Now, protozoan. Example of a protozoa is the amoeba. Now, these protozoa are mostly found in fresh water. They are mostly found in fresh water, and due to the hypotonic contents of these protozoans or of the amoeba, this fresh water tends to enter into the protozoa. So the fresh water goes into the protozoa through its cell membrane, because the cell membrane is permeable through its cell membrane. Now, when there's excess water or excess water contents in the protozoa, that is, take for instance the amoeba, the contractile vacuole now, which is the excretory organ of a protozoa or the amoeba, the contractile vacuole then remove this excess water, and empties the contents into the exterior. So it is a function of the contractile vacuole to remove excess water from the body of a protozoan. And like I told you, a typical example is the amoeba, and this is because they are mostly found in fresh water, and because the contents of this amoeba are hypotonic, fresh water tends to move into the cells, and to prevent excess water in the cells or the body of this amoeba, the contractile vacuole, which is the excretory organ of the protozoa, tends to remove this excess water into the exterior, that's into the environment. So contractile vacuole is the organelle that removes excess water from the body of a protozoan, and that is option B. Thank you and God bless you, and just subscribe to our channel for more videos and past questions. Hello, good day and welcome. I will be answering Neco 2019 Biology Past Question 42. The following factors affect organisms in aquatic habitats except A. Humidity, B. Light, C. Temperature, D. Turbidity, and E. Water current. So we have to pick an option which do not affect organisms in aquatic habitats. Now, for us to pick this option, we have to simply check out the meaning of the following factors. Now, humidity simply refers to the measure of moisture in the atmosphere. That's humidity. Now, light just simply means what? Light simply means the entrance of sun rays, that's in a water body. So how does this entrance of sun rays or entrance of the sunlight work in this aquatic habitat? Then C here, temperature Temperature is defined as the measure of the degree of hotness or coldness of an environment. Now, turbidity. Turbidity is actually caused by the presence of suspended matter, such that the entrance of light is affected. So that's turbidity. Then E says water current. Now, water current just simply refers to the activities in the water. That is, water currents are usually common in aquatic ecosystem, and they increase aeration and turbidity. So it just was simply like, let me say, the water wave. The water wave. That's what water current simply represents. Now, the following factors affect aquatic organism affect organism in aquatic habitats, except. Now you say that option B says light. Now, light affects what? Affect organism in aquatic habitats, because penetration of light into the aquatic habitats will enable the plants, the foods of these aquatic organisms. Take for instance the phytoplanktons. Phytoplanktons are micro plants, and these aquatic organisms like fish feed on these phytoplanktons, and these plants, these phytoplanktons, require light for what? For production of food. So therefore it affects the aquatic organism. So light affects aquatic organism. Now, temperature also affects aquatic organisms, because when the temperature is too high in the aquatic habitats, the organisms are unable to bear this temperature, and some might even die. So temperature is very important. Also, turbidity. I told you that turbidity deals with what? It affects the penetration of light, that is the entrance of light into water body. This is due to the presence of suspended matter. So turbidity is actually a factor that affects aquatic organisms. Now, water currents also affect aquatic organisms, because the increased water currents, the more the aeration of the water. And like you know, aquatic organism actually gets their oxygen from this water. So water current helps to increase aeration. But now option A here says humidity, and humidity is a measure of moisture in the atmosphere. Atmosphere has nothing to do with with aquatic habitats. It is only terrestrial habitats that is affected by by humidity. So humidity do not affect aquatic organisms, and so therefore the answer to this question is actually humidity, which is option A. Thank you and God bless you. Just subscribe to the channel for more videos. Hello, good day and welcome. I will be answering Neco 2019 Biology Past Question 43. Which of the following describes the place an organism live? A. Biome, B. Community, C. Ecology, D. Habitat, and E. Niche. So let's briefly describe these options to get our answer. Now, biome are large natural terrestrial ecosystem. They are large natural terrestrial ecosystem. Natural terrestrial ecosystem. Then community. Community is made up of all the populations of living organisms that exist together in a habitat. Ecology. Ecology is a study of the relationship between organisms and their environment. Then option D says habitat. Now, habitat is simply described as a place where an organism lives. That's an habitat. Then a niche or ecological niche is a particular or the particular position occupied by an organism and its function in a habitat. So the question says, which of the following describes the place an organism lives? Now the place an organism lives is simply refers to what? A habitat, like we have established, and that is option D. I say habitat is a place where an organism lives, or a place where an organism can be found. So the answer to this question is option D, habitats. Thank you, and make sure to subscribe to the channel for more videos and for more past questions. Hello, good day and welcome. I will be answering Neco 2019 Biology Past Question 44. Changes in energy flow between organisms in a habitat can be represented by A. Food chain, B. Food web, C. Pyramid of biomass, D. Pyramid of energy, and E. Pyramid of numbers. Now let's check each of these options before we can ascertain which represents or which represents will be represented by changes in energy flow between organisms in a habitat. Now option A says food chain. Now food chain shows the transfer of energy and nutrients from one organism to another. So this simply shows the transfer of energy and nutrients from one organism to another. That is food chain. Now food chain can be represented as this. Take for instance, you have a grass, then let's take for instance maybe goats will feed on this grass, and then lion will feed on the goats. Now this is about a food chain. This is a food chain. You can see the transfer of energy and nutrients from one organism to another. Now B says food web. Now food web in an ecosystem simply represents what? It represents numerous food chain. That is how food chains are linked together, how numerous food chains can be linked. That is what? That is a food web. Food web comprises of different food chain. Now C says pyramid of biomass. Pyramid of biomass represents the total wet or dry mass of the organism in each trophic level. It represents the total dry or wet mass of an organism in each trophic level. Now, like trophic level simply represents what? That is each level of this organism in the food chain. Now pyramid of energy actually represents the rates of flow of food energy through each trophic level. It represents the rates of flow of energy through each trophic level in a food chain. So pyramid of energy is mainly concerned with what? With the rates of flow of energy. That is the changes concerning the rate of flow of energy in a food chain. Now pyramid of number simply represents the number of individuals at each trophic level. It represents number of individuals at each trophic level. Now let's go back to the question. The question says changes in energy flow between organisms in a habitat can be represented by. Now, like I told you, I say food chain just simply refers to the transfer of energy and nutrients from one organism to another. Now, pyramid of energy, which represents the rates at which energy flows from one organism to another, is actually represented as this. That is, pyramid of energy can also be seen to represent the changes in energy flow between organisms in a habitat. That is how this flow of energy changes from one trophic level to another, That is from the producer, how the energy flow changes from the producer, then down to the primary consumer, down to the secondary consumer, getting to the tertiary consumer. So this is actually represented by by the pyramid of energy. It is concerned with the rates of flow of energy in the food chain. So therefore the answer to this question is actually option D, pyramid of energy. Thank you and God bless you. Ensure to subscribe to our channel for more videos and for more past questions. Hello, good day and welcome. I'll be answering Neco 2019 Biology Past Question 45. An example of poikilothermic animal organism is A. Bird, B. Cat, C. Dog, D. Frog, and E. Rat. So the question is, which of these is an example of poikilothermic organism? Now, poikilothermic organism simply refers to as cold-blooded organisms. Cold-blooded organisms. That is, organism that is cold-blooded. Then the opposite of poikilothermic is homoiothermic organisms. Now these organisms are warm-blooded organisms. Warm-blooded. Now option A says bird. Mostly poikilothermic organisms are actually organisms that lives in aquatic habitats. Mostly they live in aquatic habitats. While these homoiothermic organisms are organisms that live on the land, as terrestrial habitats or the arboreal habitats. Now bird is an organism that lives in the terrestrial habitats or the arboreal habitats, and so therefore it's a warm-blooded animal. So bird is a warm-blooded animal. It is not poikilothermic. Same with cat. Cat is a homoiothermic animal because it lives in a terrestrial habitat, so it is not poikilothermic. C says dog. Dog is also a homoiothermic animal. It is not poikilothermic. Option E says rat. Rat is also a terrestrial organism, so it is not poikilothermic. Now option D says frog, and like we know, frog lives on both aquatic and terrestrial habitats, but mostly they live in aquatic habitats, and so therefore frogs are poikilothermic animals. They are poikilothermic organisms, that is, they are cold-blooded organisms. Another example of a cold-blooded organism is the fish. Fish is also cold-blooded. So the answer to this question is option D, frog. Thank you, and ensure to subscribe to our channel for more videos and past questions. Hello, good day and welcome. I will be answering Neco 2019 Biology Past Question 46. The plant hormone that stimulates cell elongation is known as A. Abscisic acid, B. auxins, C. ethylene, D. gibberellins, and E. cytokinins. So we're asked to pick an option which is a plant hormone that stimulates cell elongation. Now let's check out the importance or the use of these hormones. A says abscisic acid. Now abscisic acid is a growth inhibitor. Abscisic acid is a growth inhibitor, meaning that it inhibits growth and so therefore will not stimulate cell elongation. And it also plays role in abscission. It plays role in abscission. Abscission simply means the falling of three parts. It's like, for instance, the falling of leaves is abscission, falling of fruits also abscission, that is after aging. So abscisic acid actually it stimulates aging and abscission and suppresses the growth of buds. Now B here says auxin. Now auxin is one of the most important plant hormones. One of the most important plant hormones that promotes the normal stem growth in plants by stimulating cell elongation. Now, how does this auxin stimulates cell elongation. Auxin does this by softening the cell wall, thereby making it possible for the cell to stretch as their protoplasm swells and increase in amount. So when the auxin goes to what? To soften the cell wall. As it softens the cell wall is no longer rigid. It now makes it possible for this cell to stretch. They stretch as a result of their protoplasm swells, their protoplasm swells and also increase in amount. So that is what brings about what? The cell elongation, which is produced by auxin. Now option C says ethylene. Ethylene is another plant hormone that hastens the ripening of fruits. It hastens the ripening of fruits and also retard lateral bud development. It's retard lateral bud development. Now gibberellin is also a plant hormone that stimulates cell elongation along with auxin. Now if you can see, you see that gibberellins here and auxins actually stimulate cell elongation, but the most important or the one most concerned with cell elongation is the auxin. Auxin is the most important hormone responsible for what? Cell elongation, because it acts on the cell wall, softening the cell wall and making it possible for the protoplasm to swell and increase in amount, thereby leading to stretching of the cell, bringing about the cell elongation. Gibberellin also brings about cell elongation and division, but it is not the most important actually. The hormone that is most concerned with this activity is the auxin. Cytokinin, which is option E, is also an hormone that promotes plant growth. It's a growth promoting hormone, so it promotes plant growth, and this hormone is actually produced in the roots. So the answer to this question is actually option B, auxin. So whenever you see this kind of question where you are asked for the hormone that stimulates cell elongation and auxin and gibberellin is given to you in the options, the most correct answer is actually auxin, because it is the one that is mostly associated with cell elongation. Thank you and God bless you. Ensure subscribe to the channel for more videos. Hello, good day and welcome. I'll be answering Neco 2019 Biology Past Question 47. The hormone that stimulates the reabsorption of water from kidney tubules is A. Adrenocorticotropic hormone, B. Antidiuretic hormone, C. Gonadotropin hormone, D. Oxytocin, and E. Prolactin. So we are asked to pick an option which is the hormone that is responsible for the reabsorption of water from the kidney tubule. Now A says adrenocorticotropic hormone. Now adrenocorticotropic hormone is hormone secreted by the pituitary gland that stimulates the adrenal cortex to produce its hormone. So its function is just to stimulate the adrenal cortex to produce its hormones. Now the hormones of the adrenal cortex are called the corticosteroids. So this is the function of adrenocorticotropic hormone. Now option B says antidiuretic hormone. Now antidiuretic hormone is also known as ADH. It's actually produced by the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus produces this hormone, but then the hormone is stored in the pituitary gland. That is the posterior part of the pituitary gland. And then this hormone is responsible for the reabsorption of water from kidney tubules. From the name antidiuretic, you will know that that is the function of this hormone. Reabsorption of water from kidney tubules. Now option C is gonadotropin hormone. Now this gonadotropin hormone include the FSH, that's the follicle stimulating hormone, and the LH, the luteinizing hormone. These two hormones are concerned with the maturation and release of gonads. Now option D says oxytocin. Oxytocin is also a hormone of the pituitary gland that induces childbirth or labor. it induces childbirth and also induce milk secretion from the nipple. Then option E says prolactin. Prolactin induces milk production. So now from all I have described, you agree with me that option B, antidiuretic hormone ADH, is the answer to this question because it is the one concerned with the reabsorption of water from the kidney tubules. Thank you, and ensure to subscribe to the channel for more videos and past questions. Hello, good day and welcome. I will be answering Neco 2019 Biology Past Question 48. Adrenal gland in man is situated above the A. brain, B. heart, C. kidney, D. pancreas, and E. stomach. Now the adrenal gland is also known as the suprarenal gland. It's known as the suprarenal gland, and this name is divided into the supra and the renal. Supra here meaning above, and renal here meaning kidney. So in other words, the adrenal gland simply means what? It is above the kidney. Now it is represented this way. Let's take for instance, we have the kidney. This is the kidney. Then we have the suprarenal gland or the adrenal gland on the kidney like this. Now this is the adrenal gland. So in man, the adrenal gland is located above the kidney, and that is option C, above the kidney. Thank you, and ensure to subscribe to the channel for more videos and past questions. Hello, good day and welcome. I will be answering Neco 2019 Biology Past Question 49. The diagram represents the mammalian A, ear, B, eye, C, nose, D, skin, and E, tongue. Now looking at this diagram, you see that this diagram actually represents the mammalian tongue. This diagram represents the mammalian tongue, and like we know, the mammalian tongue is responsible for the special sense of taste. Responsible for the special sense of taste. That is, the mammalian tongue is that organ in the body that enables us to taste. So this diagram represents the diagram of the mammalian tongue, and that is option E. Thank you and God bless you, and subscribe to the channel for more videos and past questions. Hello, good day and welcome. I will be answering Neco 2019 Biology Past Question 50. Sweet taste is felt in the parts labeled I, IV, and V. Now this is the diagram. This diagram represents what? The mammalian tongue. It represents the mammalian tongue. Now, this mammalian tongue is responsible for the special sense of taste. Special sense of taste is responsible for what? For the sense of taste. And each segment of this tongue is what is specialized for a particular taste. Now, I here, that is, this area behind here is for bitter taste. Then I, that is close to the side, close to the back, is for sour taste. I, that's the side in the front, is for salt taste. And then the tip of the tongue here, which is in front here, IV, is for sweet taste. So therefore the answer to this question is option D, IV. So sweet taste is felt in the parts labeled what? IV, and that is option D. Thank you and God bless you. Ensure to subscribe to the channel for more videos and past questions. Hello, good day and welcome. I will be answering Neco 2019 Biology Past Question 51. Which of the following fruits disperses its seeds by explosive mechanism? A. Casalpinia, B. Combretum, C. Cotton, D. Desmodium, and E. Tridax. So we are asked for the fruit that disperses its seed by explosive mechanism. Now, most of the fruit that disperses their seeds by explosive mechanism are dry dehiscent fruits. They are mostly dry dehiscent fruits. They disperses their seed via what? This explosive mechanism. An explosive mechanism is a self-dispersal mechanism because it does not involve external agents. So explosive mechanism, you can see, is a self-dispersal mechanism because it does not involve what? External agent intervention. And this mechanism forcibly what? Eject the seeds and scatter them some distance away from the parent plant. So it simply involves what? It ejects the seeds and then scatter these seeds, scatter them some distance away from the parent plants. An example of the dry dehiscent fruit that disperses its seed via explosive mechanisms includes the acacia, the casalpinia, the balsam fruits, and the oil bean fruits. And from our options here, you see that option A is casalpinia. So casalpinia is a fruit that disperses its seeds by explosive mechanism, and that is the answer to this question, A. Casalpinia. Thank you and God bless you. Ensure to subscribe to the channel for more videos and past questions. Hello, good day and welcome. I will be answering Neco 2019 Biology Past Question 54. Estivation is a behavioral activity in A. Birds, B. Cats, C. Horses, D. Monkeys, and E. Insects. Now, estivation is a behavioral activity that is actually carried out by some organisms during the hot or hot dry season. Estivation is the opposite of hibernation. It is the opposite of hibernation. Hibernation is done during the cold season. But for estivation, the animals or organisms spend the hot dry season in a sleep like or torpid state. That is, these animals what they go into a sleep like state or a torpid state. They become inactive during this hot dry season. The animals go into an inactive state. That is estivation. It is the opposite of hibernation. During hibernation, the animal goes into inactive state during cold season. But in estivation, it is during hot dry season. And estivation is mostly a behavioral activities of insects, snakes, toads, and rodents. So they go into a sleep like state or torpid state or inactive state during hot dry season. Now from the options here, we see that option E, insect, is part of the organisms I listed that undergoes estivation. So the answer to this question is insect. The insect is an animal or organism that undergo estivation during hot dry season. Thank you and God bless you. Ensure to subscribe to the channel for more videos and past questions. Hello, good day and welcome. I will be answering Neco 2019 Biology Past Question 55. The organism that plays dead as a defense strategy is A. Butterfly, B. Hawk, C. Opossum, D. Porcupine, and E. Wild gecko. Now we're asked to pick an option that is an organism that plays dead as a defense strategy. Like we know, most animals actually has its own strategy by which it defends itself against predators. Now let's look at it. Let's look at each of these options. The organism that plays dead as a defense strategy is actually the opossum, which is option C. Now, an opossum rolls over and plays dead. It rolls over and plays dead to escape its potential predator. And like you know, when an organism plays dead, the predators leaves the dead animal alone. Most predators do not feed on dead animals, so they leave the dead animal alone. And this is the defense strategy used by the opossum. The opossum, once it approaches its predator, it rolls over and plays dead in order to escape its own potential predator. And so the predator looks at this opossum as a dead animal and then leaves it. But for the hawk actually fights back. It fights using its beak and claws. This is the defense strategy of the hawk. It falls down on its back and fights back using its beak and claws. Then for the porcupine uses its thorns as a defense mechanism. And then the wild gecko detaches parts of its body, most especially its tail. It detaches its tail, and by doing that, it deceives the predator. It deceives the predator. So when it detaches its tail, the predator would think maybe this wild gecko is already dead, but not knowing that it is actually the part of the wild gecko that has been detached, and then the wild gecko tends to escape. So this is the defense strategy for the hawk, the porcupine, and the wild gecko. But the organism that plays dead as a defense strategy is actually opossum, which is option C. Thank you and God bless you. Ensure to subscribe to the channel for more videos and past questions. Hello, good day and welcome. I will be answering Neco 2019 Biology Past Question 56. The following are examples of vestigial parts in man except A. Appendix, B. Degenerated pelvic bone, C. External ears, D. Rudimentary tail, and E. Sparse body hair. So we are asked to pick an option which is not a vestigial part in man. Now, vestigial parts in man are simply body parts that has no specific function in man. They have no specific function in man, but in other organisms, that's lower organisms, this particular part has a great importance. Now I'll give you an example of this vestigial part in man. An example of the vestigial part in man is the appendix. Now this appendix in man has no specific function, but in the herbivores, this appendix is represented as the cecum, or we call it the cecum in the herbivores, where digestion still occurs. Another example is the rudimentary tail in man. The rudimentary tail in man, that is the coccyx. Now if you look at this rudimentary tail in man, in other animals it forms the tail, and it is very important in other animals, but in terms of man now, it becomes the rudimentary, that is the coccyx bone. Another example is the sparse body hair. The sparse body hair of man. In other animals, this sparse body hair forms the fur in other animals. And another example is the external ear. If you look at the external ear of man, it is small compared to that of other animals. So these are what the vestigial parts in man. Now, looking at the options, option A says appendix, which is part of the vestigial parts. Option C says external ears, which is part. Rudimentary tail is part, and sparse body hair is part. But the only option here that is not an example of vestigial part in man is option B, which is degenerated pelvic bone. It is not a vestigial part in man, and that is the answer to this question. Thank you, and ensure to subscribe to the channel for more videos on past questions. Hello, good day and welcome. I will be answering Neco 2019 Biology Past Question 57. In a Mendelian cross between pea plants that are heterozygous for flower color PP, that is heterozygous, with the what is the probability that the offspring will be homozygous recessive? So, A, we have 1 over 2, B 1 over 4, D, C 3 over 4, D 2 over 2, and E 4 over 4. Now, a Mendelian cross between pea plants that are heterozygous for flower color PP. So we have the first heterozygous plant crossed with the second heterozygous plant. Now, by crossing these plants for the first filial generation, we'll have this. So here we have the P that's homozygous for this flower color, and then that's homozygous dominant for this flower color and heterozygous dominant for this flower color. Then we'll also have P that's heterozygous dominant for this flower, and then small p homozygous recessive for this flower. Now looking at this, we have one homozygous dominant, which is this. We have two heterozygous dominants, which is this and this. Then we have one homozygous recessive, which is this. Now the question says, what is the probability that the offspring will be homozygous recessive? Now out of these 4 outcomes, just one is homozygous recessive. Therefore, the probability of homozygous recessive will be equals to 1 all over 4, and that is option B. So the answer is option B, 1 over 4. Thank you and God bless you. Ensure to subscribe to our channel for more videos and past questions. Good day and welcome. I will be answering Neco 2019 Biology Past Question 58. An example of sex-linked character is A. Color blindness, B. Fingerprints, C. Long-sightedness, D. Mutation, and E. Short-sightedness. Now, what are sex-linked characters? Sex-linked characters are characters determined by a gene located only on the X chromosome. So, they are characters determined by a gene located on only the X chromosome, and that's why we call it a sex-linked trait or sex-linked character, because they are linked only to the X chromosome. Now, sex-linked characters is not linked to the Y chromosome. Take note, it is not linked to the Y chromosome. It is only determined by by a gene on the X chromosome, and that is why a sex-linked trait is actually gotten from a son can only get a sex-linked trait from his mother, from its mother. Now this is because being a boy or being a male, you have the XY chromosome, and this Y chromosome is coming from the father, and the X chromosome here is coming from the mother. And since this sex-linked character or sex-linked traits are determined by gene on the X chromosome alone, it simply means that sons can only inherit a sex-linked trait from its mother, because it only receives its X chromosome from its mother. And so that is why a mother can only give a sex-linked trait to her son, not her daughter also. Now for the female, they have the XX, while for the male it is XY. So even if this sex-linked trait is recessive, but because it is on this X chromosome, it will manifest in the son. And that is why sex-linked traits are actually determined by this X chromosome. An example of this sex-linked traits includes the color blindness and hemophilia. And from the option, you see that we have color blindness given to us, which is option A. So color blindness is an example of a sex-linked character or a sex-linked trait. So the answer to this question is option A, color blindness. Thank you and God bless you, and subscribe to the channel for more videos and past questions. Hello, good day and welcome. I will be answering Neco 2019 Biology Past Question 59. The diagram represents A. Axon, B. Dendrite, C. Neuron, D. Reflex arc, and E. Synapse. Now this diagram here simply represents the diagram of a neuron. This is the diagram of a neuron or a nerve cell. Now neuron or nerve cell is a structural and functional units of the nervous system. Now this is a neuron. Option A says an axon. Now this is an axon. This 4 here represents an axon. Option B says dendrites. This one here is a dendrite. All these are parts of the neuron. The axon and the dendrites are parts of the neuron. Now E says synapse. Now synapse is formed when this neuron communicates with another neuron that is communicates to the synaptic cleft of another neuron. Then we say this is a what? This is a synapse. That point, that junction where they communicate is known as a synapse. Then this is reflex arc. Reflex arc is just the pathway of a reflex action. And I believe we know what reflex action are. That is involuntary action that is not controlled by we don't control these actions. Example is an eject. So the pathway of this reflex action is the reflex arc. But this diagram here is the diagram of the neuron or the nerve cell, and that is option C. Thank you, and ensure to subscribe to the channel for more videos and past questions. Hello, good day and welcome. I will be answering Neco 2019 Biology Past Question 60. The part responsible for transmitting impulses to the cell body is labeled A, I, B, I, C, I, D, IV, and E, V. Like we know, this diagram represents the diagram of a neuron or a nerve cell, and it has several parts. I here represents the dendrites. I here represents the nucleus. As you can see, the nucleus present in the cell body. I here represent the myelin sheaths. IV here represent the axon, and V here represent the Schwann cell. Now each of these parts labeled has its own function. The dendrite, which is I, is responsible for transmitting impulses to the cell body, that is, impulses received from another neuron are being carried to the cell body of a particular neuron by the dendrites. So the dendrites transmit impulses. It transmits impulses to cell body. Now, II here, which is the nucleus, like we know, the nucleus simply controls the activity of the nerve cell. Controls activity of nerve cell or neuron. Now, III is the myelin sheath, and the myelin sheath is responsible for what? For insulating the nerve fiber. That's the axon. Responsible for insulating the axon, which is the nerve fiber, and it also increases the speed of transmission. Now, IV here is the axon. The axon is responsible for transmitting impulses away from the cell body. So axon transmits impulses away from cell body. Then Schwann cell, which is IV, is the one that produces the myelin sheaths. Now, from the question says the part responsible for transmitting impulses to the cell body, and that is dendrite, which is what? Option A, I. The dendrite is a nerve fiber that transmits impulses to the cell body, while the axon is a nerve fiber that transmits impulses away from the cell body. So the answer to this question is option A, dendrites. Thank you, and ensure to subscribe to the channel for more videos and past questions.